Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're going to continue doing the May-June 2023 Csec Economics Paper 2. We completed question 1 previously, and so now we're looking at question 2. So for the answers for question 1, just go to the channel and look for that particular video. Alright, so you know what to do before we jump into it. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when Learn SKN drops some more videos on this paper and many more. So let's jump into it. Question 2A. List 3 non-price factors other than its own price that impact the demand for a good. So we jump over to our textbook and we have these non-price factors that determine the demand for a good. We have change in population, we have change in income, we have a change in the taste and fashion of the purchasers, we have seasonal factors. So let's dig into them separately, even though they're asking us to list. So change in population, an increase in population cause demand to increase. So that's just natural. If you have more people, a greater market, then the demand should increase. The reverse is also true. If the population decreases, then naturally there isn't enough persons there, and so the demand will fall. Income, change in income. A change in income, if income goes up, then demand should rise. If income goes down, demand should fall, right? Very straightforward. If you're broke, you can't afford certain things, you get a little money, you get extra money, then your demand for certain things will increase. Taste and fashion. It's about your personal taste. Like, what do you like? What do you favor? And so if you like something and you can afford it, you're going to buy more of it. If you don't like it, you're not going to buy it. As simple as that. So taste and fashion. So, or even if something is in style right now, more people are going to buy it. And when it goes out of style, less people are going to buy it. So that's taste and fashion. Seasonal factors. Different times of the year, you have different demand for certain things. Like in the Caribbean, during Easter time, well, at least where I live, there's an increased demand for things like sweet potatoes and saltfish and those things to make those Easter meals. Right? Christmas time, there's an increased demand for eggs because a lot of baking going on, right? A lot of baking, everybody baking the cakes and things for the holiday season. Clothing, if we had winter and things like that, summer, winter, the autumn, those seasons, then during the spring, the winter time, there'll be an increase in demand for winter clothing and a decrease in demand for summer clothing, right? So those are some of the non-price factors that can determine the demand for particular goods. Let's look at the part B. List 3 factors that impact the price elasticity of supply. So let's understand what we're talking about here, right? We are talking about the responsiveness of producers to a change in the price of their whatever they are making. So let's say the market price goes up, how responsive will the suppliers be? Let's say the market price goes down, how responsive would the suppliers be? So remember that the main aim of any business is to maximize profits. And so if I realize, oh wait, I'm a producer and the market price has gone up, that's good for me. So now I want to put as much stuff on the market as possible because price gone up, that's good for me. But if the price goes down, then I need to pull back on my supply because sometimes it might be too expensive for me to produce it just to sell it at this cheaper price. And so I might pull back on that. And so we have outlined here 4, they asked for 3, but I outlined 4 factors that impact price elasticity of supply. So let's dig into them. Time period. Now let's say that in a short space of time, the price for a product goes up. Now, in the short run, it might be very difficult for the producer to actually increase output to match the new price, because you would realize that in the short run, at least one factor of production would remain fixed. And so in the short run, it's not like you could build a whole new plan to ramp up production. You might not be able to find as much workers in the short run to increase the production output. So in the short run, the price of supply tend to be more inelastic. But in the long run now, you can change your factors of production, it will be more elastic. And so you could respond to it a little more readily. You can build a new plant, build a new branch, open a new branch, right? So we could see that if the price goes up, then man, in the long run, man, let's just pump up more, right? So that can impact the price elasticity of supply, right? So in the short run, maybe not. In the long run, yeah. So number of suppliers. So let's say that in a market, there are a lot of suppliers out there. And if the price changes, then you have enough suppliers to fill any gaps that might be missing. So let's say you are one firm and you cannot produce enough. Man, you got enough people out there to fill that gap. And so it would be very elastic in when there are a lot of suppliers. So price elasticity of supply would be very elastic when there are a lot of suppliers. When there are a little bit of suppliers now, that means that let's say the price goes up, then again, because there's such a little bit, they're not going to be able to quickly respond to the increase in price, because there's only a few of us. And like I said, there's only so much you can change in the short run. And so because you have a little bit of suppliers, then price elasticity of supply tends to be very inelastic when you have a little bit of suppliers. Then you have excess capacity. So that means that capacity speaks to what level of production the firm is operating at the time. So let's say a firm is operating at 50% capacity and then the price goes up. They can easily ramp up production to 55, 60, 75, 80, 85, 90% of their capacity. They can ramp it up to meet the new change in the price. But in the reverse now, so let's say they do not have any excess capacity. They are right now producing at 100%. So if the price goes up, they can't take advantage right now because they don't have that excess capacity right now. They'll have to get that later on. So right now, they're not going to have it. So if they are producing at a high capacity already and the price changes, goes up, then they're going to be very inelastic because they need to ramp production, but they don't have it. But if they have excess capacity, they can just increase their output. Storage space. Let's say that a firm has a lot of warehouses and price goes up, but they already have them stocked with stuff, a lot of stuff out there. They can easily just throw them on the market to take advantage of the increase in price. But if they don't have that storage space, then now they have to build it, right? And so if they have a lot of storage space, it would be very elastic. The price elasticity of supply will be very elastic. If they don't have storage space, it's going to be very inelastic. So those are the answers for B for that question. Okay, moving right along. We are looking at now section C. For each of the following pairs of goods, explain which good has more price elasticity, has a more price elastic demand. All right, let's go. Remember again, price elasticity of demand speaks to the responsiveness of demand to a change in price, right? An increase in price. So let's say, so the first one, a red motor car or all motor vehicles. Now for this one, if the price of all motor vehicles go up, then demand would be more inelastic because you don't have much choice. Substitutes are not there. What are you going to do? Take public transport? Like, what are you going to do? The substitutes are not as great. And so therefore, out of these two, you would have more inelasticity for all motor vehicles. But a red motor car now, you have options. If you don't get a red, what are you going to do? Not buy a car? You can simply buy a next color. You have a whole range of colors. So it will be more elastic for just the red car, because you can buy more cars, more different color cars. You have greater substitutes. You can also even switch, maybe go to a SUV, a pickup, something, if the red one is not what you like. So the answer for this one would be the motor vehicles would be more inelastic, and the red motor car would have more price elastic demand. All right, this one very straightforward. Jewelry or prescription medicine. Prescription medicine, you don't have much substitutes. So demand would be inelastic. For jewelry, it's a luxury item, and there are so many different class of jewelry out there. It will be more elastic. So the price of, maybe let's say gold goes up, you might say, okay, let me buy a white gold, let me buy a silver, things like that. So you have more options, more substitutes, and so therefore and then again, in your budget, prescription medicine would be more of a must. You would prioritize that more. And so whether the price go up, left, right, you still have to buy it, right? But jewelry is not a must. It's a luxury. There are many substitutes, and so the price elasticity would be greater in the jewelry. Then we have an increase in prices today, an increase in gas prices today, or a tax on gas a year after the tax is introduced. And so for this one, the tax on gas a year after would be more elastic, because time lapse is one thing that impacts elasticity. Because understand that a year later, you can find ways around it. You can find ways around the tax, right? And so you might say, okay, let me buy an electric car, let me buy let me go on a pedal bike, let me take public transport, etc., etc. But if the increased gas prices today, man, you still have to work tomorrow. You still have to move around, and so you'll have to eat that. You'll have to eat the gas. The price of the gas gone up. You have to pay it still in the short run today, because you don't have much substitute right now. So you're going to be very inelastic if it happens today. All right, laptops or electricity. Again, very interesting. Electricity is almost a must. It's a must. The utility is a must. And there isn't much substitutes for electricity. You're going to say, okay, wind, solar, whatever. Those are expensive, not really good substitutes. But a laptop, on the other hand, if the price go up for a laptop, you can easily say, no, I'm going to buy a desktop. Or no, I'm going to buy a tablet. Or hybrid. Or I'm going to use my phone. See what I'm saying? You have alternatives, you have options. And so the elasticity for the laptop would be greater than that of electricity, because the substitutes are not readily available for electricity. So that's that one. All right, so let's see now. That's that question there. So you can see, right? Okay, so we have it right here, right? So the red motor car price elasticity of demand would be greater than that for all motor vehicles. For jewelry would be greater than for prescription drugs. For the gas price increase today, it would be less. So it would be less than a year later. And laptops would be greater than electricity, because it's all about substitutes and how important these things are for you as a person. D, study figure 2, which represents the market for coffee in Joland, and answer the questions D, 1 and 2. So we have them here. And then E, look at the diagram. How severe storm in Joland would impact the coffee market. So we have to make the changes here. Alright, so let's go. On the diagram, figure 2, label the demand curve, letter D, and the supply curve S. Straightforward, right? That's the demand curve here. That's the supply curve here, right? So straightforward enough. 2 marks, easy, just like that. Then let's say under the diagram, identify the market equilibrium. Straightforward again. It's where they intersect. So you put the E in there. It's where they intersect, right? So again, straightforward, 1 mark. Then this one here illustrates how a severe storm in Joland will impact the coffee market. And so we're looking at supply, S, demand, D. Now, if there's a storm in Joland, then supply will fall, right? Supply will fall. And so therefore, the curve would shift to the left, right? Shift to the left. So if you take a look at this, let's use our line thingy here. All right, so let's look at this one here. It's going to shift to the left to demark a decrease in supply, right? Because if you realize, look at this. First it was here, right? Equilibrium would have been here. This would have been equilibrium. This would have been equilibrium. And then let's say that they say because of the severe storm, supply drops. So the quantity would have been here, right? This would have been quantity initial quantity. Boom. Sorry. Oh boy, we're going crazy here. So this would have been initial quantity, and this would have been it, right? So it would have been here at that price. But if the storm come through, rip up all this stuff, throw away all the coffee and everything, supply gone down because you just can't supply them anymore. The storm gone with them. So that means now, so whatever left back would be your supply, it would be less. And so it would move to here. And so now that new one would be now coming down. Remember demand ain't change, eh? Demand ain't change. Only supply change. And so you come down here now. And then across here now. So you realize what happened now. The supply fell down. Right? The supply gone down. So quantity supplied has gone down. Right? So that's the answer for that one. Alright, so that's it for this video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff, and try to expand the community so we can help each other pass and things like that. Alright, so thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.